Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1668. The topic is training and the title is Artificial Intelligence Training Programs. This is a little bit of a follow-up to yesterday's podcast, which was about nutrition in regards to artificial intelligence nutrition programs. So how this topic came up is one of my business clients, we were doing our weekly Zooms, and they talked about the concept of AI, artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT. If you're not familiar with what that is, it would be worth kind of looking up. You can go, I believe there's I think it's OpenAI. I probably should have looked for this up. OpenAI is the website, I believe, that will help you kind of set that up. So it's https, ://openai.com. If you go there, it'll tell you about ChatGPT, and you can sign up for an account, and then you can ask it questions. For example, we're going to talk about what I asked it today in regards to training, but to set up yesterday's podcast, I asked GPT, I said, write me a diet to reduce my weight from 285 pounds to 250 pounds with specific foods and amounts I should eat each day. And it gave us some really good information. We talked through that yesterday, and I wanted to talk about the pros and cons for nutrition yesterday. We're going to do the same thing for training today. And the idea of this was the trainer brought up that AI is growing. This ChatGPT is a pretty cool way where you can give it commands. It's like a virtual assistant. You can ask it things and it'll tell you. One of the ways of summing it up is on Google. If you Google something, you then have to sift through all of the websites that Google presents to you. That's awesome. However, that's a ridiculous amount of information. It can be absolutely overwhelming. ChatGPT is you can ask it things, and then it'll give you a single write-up, which is kind of like a conglomerate of everything that you would see on Google. So it simplifies it down to one single message. That's really awesome. Totally cool stuff. Really cool. So if you haven't played with it or if you haven't looked it up, I think it might be something fun to look into. So what I wanted to do is we were talking about that with the rise of technology, does that pose a risk for trainers in the sense that people won't need trainers anymore? They can just get programs written by AI, artificial intelligence. We talked through that a little bit, and my general opinion is it's actually really awesome. So I started lifting and trying to learn about nutrition before we had internet at my house. So I had 2 years where I would just read magazines and try to make stuff up and experiment, and there was just not enough information at all. Now, fast forward to this point, there's so much information, it is ridiculously overwhelming. So much of it seems counterintuitive, especially with nutrition. I mean, countering to each other, especially with nutrition. You hear people say, eat this. Other people say, don't eat that. And both people say it's going to kill you if you do or you don't. So it's overwhelming. ChatGPT is a really cool way to bring it to the middle. I can get access to information, but it doesn't feel as overwhelming. I really think it's a cool idea. And it provides people places to start. At this point in my career, I have had a lot of fun. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I know a lot of stuff, which is really cool, very fun. And it allows me to get into the nitty-gritty details of training and nutrition with people. I have clients who are brand new to everything. Like first time they've ever been to a gym, trying to teach them the difference between a barbell and a dumbbell. I have people all the way up to, international elite totals and powerlifting, professional IFBB pro card, help people get that. Natural pro cards, help people get that. Oh my gosh, just endless list. If you go to our website, you can see a description of some of the background of things that I've helped people with. So you're talking about aesthetic sports with pro cards, tested, non-tested, helped athletes with rehab, college scholarships for Division I multiple sports, CrossFit Games athletes. I've helped dancers with nutrition and strength training and corrective exercise, endurance athletes, medication reduction, arthritis, cholesterol, a whole bunch of other things, military prep models. I've helped models for fat loss and body shaping. I've helped musicians, nutritional therapy for celiac disease, diabetes, and so on, Olympic athletes in multiple sports, powerlifting, elite totals, top 50 in state records, pregnancy, getting ready for pregnancy, getting kind of regaining your body after pregnancy, professional athletes in multiple sports. One of my clients is a world champion for the Firefighter Combat Challenge 2 years in a row. Pretty badass. Helped a lot of people with special needs. I did a lot of that whenever I was in undergrad and grad school. Really enjoyed that. Very, very rewarding. Little hard at times. Just feel bad when, I don't know, just that was too hard of a career. But enjoyed the time doing that. And then helped a lot of people with strongman. So I have an extensive background. The reason why I said all of that was what the ChatGPT can do is it gets you started. It gets some good basic information summarized, gets you a place to start. You can get the ball rolling, you can progress, but then eventually the nuances are what is needed next that GPT can't help with. And this is other thing to think of is GPT works if you ask it the questions. What if you don't even know the questions to ask? You don't know what you don't know. And that could be the benefit of having like a trainer is they tell you, hey, you might not know about this, but this is really important. We got to work on this. You chat GPT, you got to be able to ask the questions. You got to be aware of what you don't know so then you can ask it. So I love that chat GPT for both nutrition and training gives people places to start. Love it, love it, love it. And then when they run into little troubles or, things along the way, that's when they would reach out and get a trainer. That's when like in-person help, like face-to-face, whether it's virtual or not, like in person, that's the helpful stuff. And that's the stuff I actually really enjoy. I more so enjoy the nuancy, weird stuff. And that's the fun part of where I'm at in my career. So I like that people get places to start. That's why on our website we have free nutrition education. You can go to that link. There's a paper that teaches you how to create your own nutrition program. You can get it fully started and achieve great results before you would actually need to reach out. We also have our live monthly programming service, which is $50 a month, and you get brand new programming every 4 weeks, including unlimited Q&A. You can ask me absolutely anything and I will answer it. So I will be your ChatGPT. So the reason why I like that is you can ask questions that generalized answers through ChatGPT won't really be helpful. So for example, we talked about in yesterday's podcast, in order to set up that nutrition program, it tells us to calculate our calories, put ourselves in the caloric deficit. It tells us foods to focus on, example meals such as scrambled eggs with vegetables and a slice of wheat toast, a snack of Greek yogurt and berries. It tells us some stuff, but it doesn't tell us how much to have of each food, doesn't tell us how much protein we need, whether we should focus on carbs at a certain time of the day or fats at a certain time of the day. It says to stay hydrated, but it doesn't tell us how much fluid to drink. It says to be physically active, but again, it doesn't tell us how much. One of the big things is it promotes a caloric deficit by just simply eating less. Ugh, big red flag. You can move more, so you don't have to eat as less, and therefore you don't get as strong of cravings. You don't get this super intense feeling that you're hungry all the time that makes you break from your diet, makes you feel like you fail. So there's a lot of good stuff that can come from ChatGPT, but there's a lot of nuances that are missing. There's a lot of real-world application that is missing. So what I wanted to do today was to talk through an example of AI training programming. Let's talk about the pros, cons, read through it a little bit, and then just kind of, I just think it's fun. The more we talk about it, the more we're aware of it, the more we know what the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, all that kind of stuff is. Okay, so for an example, I wrote the following prompt. If I can train 4 days per week, and I want to get stronger and bigger muscles, with an emphasis on my arms, how should I structure my workouts? The reason why I like this one is kind of nuanced. I gave it 4 days a week, so I gave it some preference rather than just saying, tell me how many days I should train, because maybe your schedule only allows 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. So you're going to want to specify that. We also specified our goal of stronger and bigger. It's important that way we can see, okay, if it gives us certain sets and reps, certain exercise choices, do those coincide with our goal? And then also emphasis on the arms, just to see if it would structure it a little bit uniquely to make sure the arms were emphasized. So I wanted to have a couple little nuances there that tested the answer. Now let's read through what it said. It says, if your goal is to get stronger and build bigger muscles with an emphasis on your arms, you can structure your workouts in a way that allows for sufficient training volume and recovery. Here's a sample 4-day workout split that targets the arms while also incorporating exercises for other muscle groups. Love it. One of the things I think was kind of funny in the first sentence, I said it actually mimics the concept of active listening. So it's actually kind of neat in the sense that this is really good communication from a computer. It's re-emphasizing the words and phrases I said as part of its answer. So really cool. I was actually talking to somebody recently about the concept of active listening. So it's neat to see that that's actually shown in a artificial intelligence response. Really cool. Okay, so 4 workouts per week. I'm going to read through just kind of the days. So day 1, it says to do chest and triceps. Day 2 is back and biceps. Pretty legit there. Day 3, it says rest or active recovery, parentheses, cardio or mobility work. Awesome. Day 4 is legs and shoulders. Day 5 is arms. Focus on biceps and triceps. And then it stops and has notes. So I'm guessing day 6 and 7 are rest days. So that gives us our 4 days. Day 1, day 2, and then day 4 and day 5. So 6 and 7 would be rest days. I like it because it emphasizes the arms up front in the week, chest and triceps, back and biceps, really good. You got your whole upper body, you got your arms involved. You have a rest day, which you'll need. You get your legs in there on day 4 as legs and shoulders. So you get the lower body built in, but you do get back onto the shoulders, and day 5 is arms alone. So the 4th workout is arms by themselves. So it does incorporate the whole body, and it does have an emphasis on legs. Pretty kick-ass. I think that's really cool. Now, let's read through some of the example exercises, sets, and reps. Day 1, chest and triceps. It says to start with barbell bench press for 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps. Pretty good. 6 to 8 reps for most people is going to be a blend of strength and growth. So that's really good because that's, targeted both goals. Then we have dumbbell incline bench press, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. I like that it changed the angle. So barbell bench press is flat. Dumbbell incline is a little bit of an incline. That way you change a little bit of the muscle fiber emphasis in the chest muscles. That's really cool. Good that that's built in, whether intentional or not. Like it. 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. That's really pretty heavy on dumbbells. That's heavy work. That's still kind of a blend of strength and growth. And then we have dumbbell flies. So back down to flat, and we have 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. That's still very heavy for flies, but it is leaning more towards now like a growth component rather than strength component. So if you want to learn more about like repetitions and time under tension, we do have a older podcast that'll teach about rep ranges. Actually, let me get you a newer one that will have just more updated. It'll just be easier to find. Okay, let's see here. We have podcast 1437. It's a training podcast titled Programming for Greatest Muscle Growth. And in that one, you'll see that it talks about number of sets that you should have per week, number of repetitions that target for strength versus growth versus muscular endurance. So really good stuff in there to kind of give some background as to how good or not good this ChatGPT workout is. So again, that's podcast 1437, training podcast titled Programming for Greatest Muscle Growth. Okay, back to ChatGPT. So we said barbell bench press, 4 sets, 6 to 8. Dumbbell incline bench, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Dumbbell flies, 3 sets of 10 to 12. So they're getting a little bit of a range of repetitions, which is good. Hits a little bit of the blend of muscle fibers. Then we have tricep dips, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Tricep push downs, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. Then overhead tricep extensions, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. I really like that they kind of blended that. Tricep dips is a compound movement. You get your chest involved as well as the triceps and a little bit of front shoulder for sure. So it kind of helps the big, heavy, dominant movement for the triceps. Then tricep push downs is more of an isolated movement. And then overhead tricep extension is even more isolated because your front shoulder can't help out at all. So that's a really good blend. Now, I'm a little bit of a stickler in the sense of some details. So what I'm about to say is more of a preference than technically right or wrong. But out of 6 exercises, they do 3 chest and 3 triceps. But barbell bench press involves your triceps. dumbbell incline bench involves your triceps. So you actually have 5 tricep exercises and 3 chest exercises. And only one of the 3 is chest isolative. So this is actually not a lot of work on the chest. You're going to be absolutely destroyed in your triceps. So I feel that there definitely could be a reduction of tricep work in this one and increase more chest. How I would suggest doing that is actually start with some kind of cable flies, something for a chest isolation to start the workout, and then go into barbell bench press, then the dumbbell incline press, then back to dumbbell flies. And then you already did heavy compound presses, so you don't need dips. So I would end with the tricep pushdowns and the overhead tricep extensions. So I would swap the dips, the tricep dips. I'd take those out and instead put a version of a machine fly or cable fly to start the workout to really get blood flow into the shoulders and start to isolate the chest. Because that way you can pre-exhaust the chest to make sure the chest is completely exhausted through the workout while also exhausting the triceps. So I think you could rearrange a little bit of that. But overall, really good workout. Day 2 is back and biceps. It starts with deadlifts for 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps. That is overwhelmingly more of a leg exercise than a back exercise. Yes, your lats are insanely involved in a deadlift, and due to the stretch tension on the traps and the spinal erectors in regards to bracing, you're going to get some upper back involvement, like in growth, for sure, but deadlifts are more predominantly a lower body movement rather than an upper body movement, like a back movement. And then it says barbell, it just says bent over rows for 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Absolutely hideous to have that after deadlifts. I have done that before as a way to destroy essentially our lower back. When I used to train with a training partner and he preferred this kind of setup. Horrible, absolutely horrible. Your lower back will die. It's really good for developing your deadlift, but it's not good for back growth because your spinal erectors, your hamstrings and glutes will be the limiters of a bent over row if you're doing that after deadlifts. So not a big fan of that combination. You're going to get way more lower body growth and lower back limitations than you will upper back growth. Then lat pull downs, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. That'll actually feel glorious because it'll be a traction a little bit, like loosening for the lower back. And obviously that's going to be more back dominant, so that's good. Then we go to barbell curls for 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, hammer curls, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps, then preacher curls, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. I do like the amount of bicep work in this one since deadlifts don't really involve your biceps at all. You shouldn't, otherwise you're going to tear them. Barbell bent over rows are going to be a compound movement that does involve your biceps to some degree, and lat pull downs will involve your biceps to some degree. I don't know what grip. Traditional lat pull down, if no grip is listed, then typically it's going to be a wide overhand grip. But you can do a neutral grip, you can do an underhand grip, you can do about 4 million different type of angles. So it'd be nice if they gave us like a grip on this one. Like same with the thing with the bent over rows, whether it's overhand, underhand, it'd be nice to have a little bit more specificity to that. But if you switch it up, maybe 4 weeks you go overhand, next 4 weeks underhand, vice versa, something like that will be good. So overall, we look at this, there's deadlifts, more so lower body movement than upper body. Barbell any type of bent over row after deadlifts, definitely going to be lower body dominant. You're not going to be able to maximize your upper body. And then lat pull downs, very good exercise for the back. So that's the only 3 exercises for the back. That's suboptimal, not very good. Isolation, not very good. Back focused work there. And then barbell curls, hammer curls, and preacher curls. Good overall. There's a lot more variable positions you can get into, the kind of repetitive position wise. But okay. I would have liked to seen a little bit of rep range change there. So they only have sets of 8 to 10 and then sets of 10 to 12. You can get a little bit into higher reps. That helps to just flush more fluid through more of the tissue fibers, helps open up more of like the ends of the fibers and the weaker ranges. So I would like a little more variety there, but still pretty good overall. Day 3, you said, was the active recovery. Then we have the third workout is legs and shoulders. It starts with squats for 4 sets of 6 to 8, leg press of 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, and then lunges for 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps per leg. Pretty good. I do like that combination overall. Big, heavy compound movement, then to a supported compound movement, then to more of an isolative type movement. Really good to go from heaviest to medium to lightest. So overall, really good. The challenge would be is this is only 48 hours after the deadlifts and bent over rows. So your lower back's going to be pretty exhausted. I think you could possibly flip this a little bit. I don't like having squats just 48 hours after deadlifts. I think it's going to severely limit the squat performance. If anything, I think you should squat before you deadlift in a weekly structure. That's how I have all of my powerlifters do it, and we've been very successful. Elite totals, top 50 totals, all the good stuff. So I typically have them squat and then deadlift slightly fatigued. Deadlift has a shorter range of motion, and they have to compete with their deadlift pre-fatigued in competitions anyhow. So I like the squats being done more fresh than deadlifts. So I don't like that kind of sequencing. Then after the leg work, you go into military press for 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps, and that's just overhead press. Typically with a barbell if they're saying military press. Then we have dumbbell shoulder press, which is 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, lateral raise for 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps, and front raises for 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. Not bad. There's no rear delts. Where's the rear delts in there? So an overhead press, lateral raise, and front raise. You do not need more front raises at the end. That you can throw those out. If you did 2 overhead presses, your front delts are done. I would definitely replace the front delts with the rear delt work, and I would probably do the rear delt work before I would do the military press and dumbbell press. I would actually do the lateral raises as well. If you pre-fatigue the shoulders are going to be more of the limiting factor in the overhead presses, so you get better, fuller exhaustion of the shoulder fibers rather than having to wear out your triceps to get to the shoulders. Then the last workout number 4, is biceps and triceps. They start with close grip bench press, 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps, skull crushers for 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, cable curls for 3 sets of 10 to 12, concentration curls, 3 sets of 8 to 10 to 12, rope press downs, 3 sets of 10 to 12, hammer curls, 3 sets of 10 to 12. Okay, would be nice to have a little more variety. So overall in the entire program, they just stay between 6 and 12. You can absolutely grow from higher rep ranges, and our endurance fibers contribute to 15% of our overall size. Rough, give or take a little bit here and there, individual differences. But the endurance fibers contribute to 15% of your overall size. You want to be getting into those higher rep ranges to get those endurance fibers maximized and growing. So I don't like that the entire program stays between 6 and 12. That's too archaic, too old school thinking. You need to be up with the newer science and start doing those higher repetitions. It's also really good for blood flow through the blood flow and fluid flow through the joints to help with connective tissue health. So I really think they're missing the boat on not having higher rep ranges in here. And then if you notice, it went tricep, tricep, bicep, bicep, tricep, bicep. Not a bad sequencing. That's overall pretty good. The close grip bench press, right after the day after doing military presses and shoulder presses, your triceps are going to be pretty fatigued. So you're not going to need as much as they have here. So their total set volume for triceps in this workout is you would have 7, so 10. So you'd have 10 working sets, which is roughly half of your total weekly volume. Now, if we listen to that podcast I mentioned, 1,437, we know that the total set count, working set count, in which a muscle is predominantly exhausted, should be between 10 to 20 sets per week. And if you go over 20 sets, you're not going to get more growth. You're actually going to get limited growth and or actually missing growth because the muscle tissue isn't going to be actually able to recover between the workouts. So there's, think about it, when you train, you tear up the muscles. When you eat and sleep is when the muscles actually grow. So if you're training too often and too much, you're not giving them enough time to grow. So if we look at our total set count for triceps, we know the barbell bench press is definitely going to exhaust the triceps near to failure. Dumbbell incline bench press, definitely going to be near failure. We have tricep dips, tricep pushdowns, and overhead extensions. So on that workout alone, you're looking at 16 working sets. Now, if we go and we look at later in the week, we have military press and overhead press. There's both going to be triceps involved. So that's 7 sets right there. And then we also have now on this last workout, you have another 10 sets. This is way too much. This is actually overdoing the arms, the triceps. You will actually get very limited growth. You're just going to be beating a dead horse, basically. So I don't like the volume of this. It's actually way too overdone. Typically what you'd find is a volume like this, assuming the person is sleeping correctly and eating correctly, which is a huge assumption, they're going to start to hurt. Their elbows and shoulders are going to start to hurt by about week 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, because the volume is just way too high. And the back-to-back work of some of this is going to be a little too much. So you're not going to get a great recovery between the workouts. So it looks good on paper. But this program overall has too much volume for the arms. There's the back-to-back of deadlifts into bent over rows, which is not good in your lower backs and exhaust them. It's going to be bad for upper back development. Then having that 48 hours later, you're supposed to max effort squat, not going to work well. So some of this stuff is really good, some of it not so good. And it ends with a couple notes. The notes are warm up before each workout to prepare your muscles and joints. Great, but it doesn't tell us how. Use weights that challenge you within the prescribed rep range. Increase the weight gradually as you get stronger. That's pretty good. You will not be able to increase weight every single workout. Sometimes you just have to increase reps. Sometimes you just improve technique. If it just feels like a better mind-muscle connection, that's a form of improvement. So it'd be nice to expand on that a little bit. Rest, it says 60 to 90 seconds between rests to allow for sufficient recovery. Good luck. If you're doing 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps on squats, you are going to need a hell of a lot longer than 60 to 90 second rest. Oof. Then it says include a mix of compound exercises and isolation exercises. Good tip, and it does do that well. Make sure to prioritize proper form and technique to avoid injury. Excellent. Great, you're great. Always, 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 technique is more important than anything else. So that way you stay safe. And the targeted muscles you actually want to work are the ones doing the work. So, overall, I believe that artificial intelligence can provide programming that gets somebody started. But I think that they're going to run into issues. They're going to not be certain if they're doing everything right. So you're going to need some, technique feedback, whether that's video reviews. So like the clients I work with online, I have clients in 7 countries right now. We do a lot of WhatsApp. We do a lot of other ways in which I watch videos and give them video reviews. That's very helpful. Overwhelmingly, one of the biggest reasons people say that they enjoy working with me is the personalized feedback they get from their videos, and that they can just ask any question and I help them answer it in regards to a way in which actually works. So ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, they'll give you a summary of what you find on Google, but it's not going to look at your individual life, your individual preferences, and be able to give you individual answers. That's why our live monthly programming service, I think, is awesome, and why we're getting more and more people to sign up on it. It's actually growing, and it's really fun now because the Q&A document is getting more interactive, which I love. But people love it because you get personalized answers. And that's what's always going to be missing from artificial intelligence, is getting personalized information. And that is what most people need the most. They have access to starting information. It's when you already are started, you're getting the ball rolling, and you want more nuanced personalization. Or you can't get started because all the generalities don't touch on your individual needs. So I do think that artificial intelligence is awesome. I think it provides us a great way to summarize all the chaos of information that's out there in the world, but we still will need and benefit from a personalized touch to help with the individual nuances of everything. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, if you want, on our website, we have that free nutrition education page. You can go to there, click on the document to write your own nutrition program, and then we have our live monthly programming service, only $50 a month. You get brand new program every 4 weeks. Every exercise has a video tutorial, which, by the way, the GPT does not. So we have that, as well as asking any personalized questions and getting a personalized answer. Okay, if you need anything, reach out. My email is brutalironjim@gmail.com. Hopefully this was interesting. enjoyed it and benefited from it. Okay, if you like today's podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. The whole point is helping people with the podcast, so thank you to those who share the podcast so you can reach out and touch more people. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast. There is a high hosting cost for all the different platforms we want to be available on. You can donate on our website, www.brittlelirongym.com. And then if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and please follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brittle Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.